When most people hear the word millionaire, an image instantly flashes in their minds. A person living in a huge mansion, driving the latest luxury car, wearing expensive designer clothes, taking vacations in exotic countries. For many, wealth means glamour and a lifestyle that screams attention. But here is the truth. That image is mostly an illusion created by movies, television, and advertising. In reality, most true millionaires do not live like that at all. They live next door. They are our neighbors. They shop in the same grocery stores. Their children go to public schools. They do not make headlines or show off their bank accounts. They blend into ordinary life. Yet quietly, without drawing attention, they are building solid financial empires. Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko wanted to find out who the real millionaires of America were. So they conducted years of research. They studied thousands of households. They interviewed and surveyed wealthy people. They collected data on how they earned, saved, spent, and invested. The results shocked them. The majority of millionaires were not celebrities or athletes. They were not even high-profile business executives. They were often small business owners, professionals, or people in ordinary-looking jobs. The real secret of their wealth was not huge salaries, but consistent habits. This book reveals those habits in detail. It shows how real millionaires think differently about money. They do not chase status. They do not waste resources on luxury symbols. They build their wealth by living with discipline, by making long-term financial decisions, and by teaching the same values to their children. And this is where the most powerful lesson begins. True millionaires are not what society imagines. They are hidden in plain sight. This sets the stage for Chapter 1. Because before we can understand how millionaires live, we need to meet them properly. We need to discover what they really look like, where they live, and how different they are from the rich image we usually imagine. Chapter 1. Meet the Millionaire Next Door. Imagine this. You are walking through a middle-class neighborhood. The houses are modest, the lawns are trimmed, but not extravagant. The cars parked in the driveways are reliable, but not flashy. Nothing about this street screams wealth. But hidden behind these ordinary appearances are some of America's true millionaires. This is the central surprise of Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko's research. Most millionaires do not live in Beverly Hills or on private islands. They are not the people you read about in celebrity magazines. They are everyday men and women who live in regular communities. They are the people who look ordinary, but quietly build extraordinary wealth. The authors explain that the problem is our definition of rich. Society tells us that rich people wear designer suits, live in giant houses, and drive luxury cars. But in reality, most people who live that lifestyle are not truly wealthy. They are what the authors call UAWs, which means under-accumulators of wealth. They spend more than they save. Their incomes may be high, but their net worth is low. They are trapped in a cycle of consumption. In contrast, the real millionaires are payables, which means prodigious accumulators of wealth. These people live below their means. They carefully budget. They avoid showing off. Instead of using money to display status, they use it to build assets, investments, and financial freedom. The authors share stories of millionaires they interviewed. Many of them never earned huge salaries. They may have been small business owners, contractors, or professionals like doctors, accountants, or engineers. But what set them apart was discipline. They consistently lived on less than they earned and invested the difference year after year. One example is a man who became a millionaire by running a simple plumbing business. He never bought a luxury car. He drove a second-hand pickup truck. His clothes were plain. His lifestyle was modest. Yet his bank account and investment portfolio quietly grew into millions. His neighbors might never have guessed he was wealthy. He looked like an ordinary working man. But in truth, he was financially independent. The authors point out that most Americans would be shocked to learn who the millionaires around them really are. In fact, a large percentage of millionaires live in neighborhoods where the average house price is below average for the country. They choose to live where they feel comfortable, not where they can show off. Their homes are safe, functional, and affordable. They do not feel the need to prove their success through zip codes or mansions. Another surprising fact is that many of these millionaires are first-generation wealthy. They did not inherit their fortunes. They built them from scratch. This means that anyone with the right habits can potentially follow their path. Wealth is not about luck or inheritance. It is about choices, discipline, and values. The chapter also highlights a key mindset difference. For the millionaire next door, financial independence is more important than social approval. They do not care if others see them as rich. They care about being free from financial worry. They want control over their time, security for their families, and the ability to make decisions without depending on others. This first chapter challenges us to rethink our image of wealth. The millionaires next door are not living to impress others. They are living to achieve independence. They remind us that true wealth is invisible. It is not in cars or clothes, but in savings, investments, and peace of mind. And this leads directly to the next lesson. If these millionaires became rich not by earning huge sums, but by controlling how they spent, what exactly is the key habit that allowed them to grow wealth steadily? The answer is found in Chapter 2, where we discover the power of one word: frugality. Chapter 2. Frugal, frugal, frugal. If there is one word that describes the life of the millionaire next door, it is frugality. Again and again, the research of Stanley and Danko showed that people who built wealth lived with a mindset of careful spending. They were not cheap in a negative sense, but they were extremely disciplined. Frugality means making choices. Millionaires choose to delay pleasures today in order to build financial security tomorrow. They know that every dollar saved can grow into many more if invested wisely. Instead of asking, "How can I spend this money now?" they ask, "How can I use this money to grow wealth?" The authors explain that being frugal is not about denying yourself joy. It is about controlling your resources so you are not controlled by them. A frugal person buys what is necessary, not what is flashy. They live comfortably, but not extravagantly. They spend on quality where it matters, but they avoid waste. For example, many millionaires buy used cars instead of new ones. A new luxury car loses value the moment it leaves the showroom. Why spend $40,000 when you can buy a reliable second-hand car for half the price and invest the rest? This single decision can make a huge difference when repeated over a lifetime. The authors share stories of wealthy families who live in ordinary homes, shop with coupons, and negotiate prices. One couple, worth several $1,000,000, still shops in discount stores for groceries. To them, saving a few dollars is not about being stingy. It is about staying consistent with their values. Every dollar saved is another brick in their wall of financial security. Millionaires also plan their expenses. They keep budgets. They track where their money goes. They avoid impulse buying. Many of them teach their children the same discipline by giving them allowances and encouraging saving habits from a young age. A powerful point in this chapter is that wealth is not created by income alone. It is created by the gap between income and spending. Someone earning $200,000 a year, but spending $190,000 will never become rich. Meanwhile, someone earning $70,000, but spending $40,000 will build wealth steadily. Frugality, not income level, is the deciding factor. Frugality also extends to avoiding unnecessary debt. Millionaires rarely use credit cards for consumer goods. If they borrow money, it is usually for buying a home, expanding a business, or investing in assets. They avoid using debt to buy clothes, vacations, or gadgets. They understand that interest payments are silent wealth killers. The book highlights that society often rewards spending, not saving. Advertisements constantly push us to upgrade our lifestyle. Bigger houses, newer phones, trendy clothes. The frugal millionaire resists these temptations. They are not trying to keep up with neighbors. They focus on their own long-term financial goals. Interestingly, many millionaires are not even tempted by luxury. Their identity and self-worth do not come from possessions. They feel proud of their independence, not of their brand names. This inner confidence allows them to ignore social pressure. Frugality is not just a money strategy. It is a mindset. It teaches patience, discipline, and focus. And over decades, this mindset compounds into extraordinary wealth. This leads us naturally into the next chapter. Because frugality is not only about saving money, it is also about how millionaires value their most precious resource, their time and energy. In Chapter 3, we discover how the wealthy carefully manage not only dollars, but also the hours and mental energy of their lives. Chapter 3. Time, Energy, and Money. We all know the phrase, time is money, but for the millionaire next door, this is more than a saying. It is a daily practice. These millionaires understand that how they use their time and energy matters just as much as how they use their dollars. Stanley and Danko discovered that millionaires are masters of time management. They carefully choose where to spend their hours. Instead of wasting time on activities that drain them financially and emotionally, they direct their focus toward building stability and wealth. One of the biggest differences between millionaires and underaccumulators of wealth is in how they prioritize. Millionaires value planning. They dedicate time to creating budgets, reviewing investments, and setting long-term goals. They do not leave money matters to chance. They know that every hour spent in planning and analyzing is an investment in their future freedom. For example, the researchers found that millionaires often spend twice as much time each month on financial planning compared to non-millionaires. They track expenses. They monitor investments. They discuss strategies with spouses or business partners. This constant attention keeps their financial lives in order and prevents waste. Energy is another hidden resource. Many people exhaust their mental energy trying to maintain appearances. They worry about status symbols. They stress about keeping up with neighbors. Millionaires avoid this trap. By not chasing trends, they save emotional energy. That energy is redirected toward productive work, creative thinking, and family life. One powerful observation in this chapter is how millionaires guard their time. They know that time wasted is money lost. Many of them avoid endless shopping trips or spending weekends at luxury malls. Instead, they focus on activities that either bring them closer to their goals or strengthen family bonds. The authors share the example of a wealthy couple who refused to let their weekends get consumed by consumer habits. While others spent Saturdays upgrading wardrobes or browsing for expensive furniture, this couple invested their time in maintaining their rental properties, reviewing accounts, or learning about new investment opportunities. Their wealth grew not just from money saved, but also from time used wisely. Millionaires also understand opportunity cost. Every decision has a price. If you spend 3 hours watching television, that is 3 hours you could have used to learn a skill, plan investments, or grow a business. Millionaires are aware of this trade-off. They make conscious choices about where their hours go. Another critical point is delegation. Many wealthy people outsource small, repetitive tasks so they can focus on high-value activities. Instead of spending hours fixing a broken appliance, they may hire someone and use that saved time to work on their business or investments. They understand that their energy must be preserved for decisions that create the greatest impact. It is also worth noting that millionaires align their time, energy, and money with their values. They are not trying to impress anyone. Their goal is financial independence and peace of mind. Every hour they spend is a step toward that larger goal. This alignment gives them clarity and direction in life. This chapter teaches us a powerful lesson. Wealth is not only about dollars in the bank. It is about creating a system where your time, energy, and money work together. Millionaires live with intention. They avoid distractions. They plan carefully. And they treat their time as a precious currency. And this mindset leads us directly into the next part of their lifestyle. Because when society judges wealth, it often looks at cars, clothes, and houses. But the millionaire next door knows that appearances are misleading. In Chapter 4, we explore why true wealth is never parked in the driveway. Chapter 4. You aren't what you drive. In modern society, one of the quickest ways people try to show success is through the car they drive. A shiny new luxury car in the driveway is often seen as proof of having made it. Advertisements feed this idea, telling us that owning the latest model equals prestige, respect, and happiness. But the millionaires next door do not play this game. Stanley and Danko discovered something striking. Most self-made millionaires do not drive luxury cars. In fact, the majority drive regular, often second-hand vehicles that are reliable and practical. Their cars are not chosen to impress others, but to serve a function. They see cars as tools, not trophies. Why do they avoid expensive cars? The first reason is that a car is a depreciating asset. The moment you drive a brand new car out of the showroom, its value drops dramatically. Spending $40,000, $50,000, or $60,000 on a car may bring a short burst of pride, but financially, it is a poor decision. Millionaires know that the money lost in depreciation could be invested instead. Over years, that invested money compounds into wealth, while the luxury car loses value. The second reason is mindset. Millionaires do not feel the need to prove themselves through possessions. Their sense of identity comes from independence, not from brands. They are confident enough to let their bank accounts grow quietly, rather than seek attention on the road. The authors share examples from their research. Many millionaires were found driving cars that were several years old. A self-made businessman with millions in the bank drove a used Toyota. A wealthy doctor preferred a simple Honda instead of a European luxury car. Another millionaire couple, worth several $million, owned two modest vehicles that they had kept for over a decade. None of them felt embarrassed. They felt empowered because their money was working for them in investments, not sitting in a depreciating machine. Meanwhile, the people who most often drove luxury cars were not the true millionaires. They were usually high-income professionals trying to project an image of success. The authors point out that these high-status consumers often had very little actual wealth. They earned large salaries but spent nearly all of it on maintaining an expensive lifestyle. On the outside, they looked rich, but on their balance sheet, they were fragile. This contrast between appearance and reality is at the heart of the millionaire mindset. True wealth is invisible. It is in stocks, bonds, real estate, and savings accounts. It is in financial independence and peace of mind. The millionaire next door does not need to drive a Mercedes or a BMW to feel successful. They already know they are secure. The chapter also reminds us of the emotional trap behind luxury cars. Many people buy expensive cars to feel respected or admired, but the admiration rarely lasts. Neighbors may be impressed for a moment, but the debt and stress of maintaining a luxury lifestyle remain. Millionaires avoid this trap because they value long-term freedom over short-term applause. Another interesting point is that many millionaires see cars purely as expenses that should be minimized. They look for reliability, safety, and efficiency. They often research carefully, negotiate strongly, and keep their vehicles for as long as possible. In some cases, they pass down cars to their children instead of buying new ones. This attitude may look boring, but it quietly builds financial strength. This chapter leaves us with a clear truth. You are not what you drive. A luxury car may shine today, but wealth shines for a lifetime. Real success is not parked in the driveway. It is hidden in financial independence, investments, and freedom from worry. And this truth leads us to an even deeper problem explored in the next chapter. Sometimes, wealth is destroyed not by how people spend on themselves, but by how they support others. Chapter 5. Economic Outpatient Care. One of the most surprising discoveries from Stanley and Danko's research is that wealth is not always destroyed by spending on yourself. Often, it is drained away by giving too much financial support to others, especially to children. The authors call this dangerous habit economic outpatient care. At first glance, helping children with money seems natural. Parents want the best for their sons and daughters. They pay for expensive weddings, luxury cars, or down payments on houses. They send money every month to make life easier. But in reality, this generosity often backfires. Instead of creating independence, it creates dependency. The authors show that adult children who receive constant financial help from parents often develop poor money habits. They spend more, save less, and expect someone else to rescue them when things go wrong. They learn to live above their means because they believe there will always be a safety net. Over time, This weakens them financially and emotionally. One example from the book is of wealthy parents who gave their adult daughter a large allowance to maintain her lifestyle. She bought luxury items, hosted expensive parties, and drove high-end cars, but she never learned to manage money on her own. When her parents passed away, the flow of money stopped. Without discipline, she quickly fell into debt. Her wealth disappeared within a few years. The authors also noticed that parents often give more financial help to the children who are the least capable of managing money. Ironically, the responsible children, who work hard and save, are given less because they don't need it. This creates a cycle where the weak remain weak and the strong are left unsupported. It is an emotional trap for parents and a destructive force for family wealth. The real Millionaires Next Door handle this differently. They may help their children with education or business opportunities, but they are very cautious about giving direct financial handouts. Instead, they teach their children values. Work hard, live below your means, save consistently, invest wisely. In other words, they pass down discipline instead of money. This chapter also makes an important point about self-image. When children are constantly supported, they may begin to define success by how much they can spend, not by what they can create. Their self-worth becomes tied to material goods. And when the flow of parental money stops, they struggle to maintain that identity. Economic outpatient care is dangerous not only for the children, but also for the parents. Many parents sacrifice their own financial independence to provide for their adult children. They delay retirement. They reduce their savings. They put themselves under stress, believing they are helping, when in fact they are destroying both generations' security. The authors emphasize a crucial rule. The best gift you can give your children is not money, but financial independence. Support their education. Encourage them to develop skills. Teach them to budget, to save, and to invest. Let them face challenges. Struggle builds strength. Dependency builds weakness. This chapter may feel uncomfortable for many families, but it holds a timeless truth. Wealth that is handed down without discipline rarely survives. Wealth that is built with values and responsibility lasts for generations. And this leads us to the next chapter. Because once we understand how dangerous it is to give unequal or excessive support to children, we must explore how family favoritism and selective financial help create even deeper problems. In Chapter 6, we step into the world of affirmative action, family style, where unequal treatment among children affects wealth and relationships in powerful ways. Chapter 6, Affirmative Action, Family Style. If Chapter 5 revealed how too much financial help weakens children, Chapter 6 digs deeper into a more subtle but equally destructive habit: favoritism in financial gifts. The authors call this affirmative action, family style. Here's the situation. Imagine parents with 3 children. One is responsible, disciplined, and financially independent. Another is reckless, constantly in debt, always asking for help. The third is somewhere in between. Which child do parents usually support the most? Surprisingly, it is often the least responsible one. Parents think, this child needs the money the most. The others are doing fine. So they keep writing checks, covering mistakes, and rescuing the weakest link. It may feel compassionate, but in reality, it punishes responsibility and rewards irresponsibility. This creates a toxic cycle inside families. The responsible children see their hard work ignored, while the careless sibling gets rewarded. Resentment grows. Family bonds weaken. Wealth gets drained. The authors share case studies where millions of dollars were lost because parents consistently favored the weakest child. One example involved a family business. The responsible son managed the company well, growing profits year after year. But the parents kept giving extra cash and property to the less capable daughter, who spent recklessly. Eventually, family disputes broke out. The business collapsed, and the inheritance was scattered. Why does this happen? The answer lies in emotion. Parents don't want to see their struggling child suffer. They feel guilty if one child seems left behind. But this emotional giving is often short-sighted. It helps in the moment, but hurts in the long run. Stanley and Danko point out another consequence. The weaker child often becomes dependent not just on parents, but on the whole family system. They expect siblings to bail them out too. This damages relationships. Brothers and sisters stop trusting each other. They compete for parental attention. What began as generosity turns into lifelong conflict. The real millionaires avoid this trap by following one golden rule. Treat children fairly, but not equally in money. Instead of showering gifts, they focus on creating opportunities. They invest in education, career guidance, or business training. They reward responsibility, not recklessness. For example, one wealthy couple decided to pay for their children's education fully, but refused to give handouts for luxury items. If a child wanted a car, they had to earn it. If they wanted a house, they had to save for the down payment. The parents' message was clear. We love you all equally, but we won't fund your lifestyle. This approach built confidence, independence, and respect within the family. Another key insight is that favoritism in financial help often destroys the very legacy parents hope to protect. Instead of building unity, it creates division. Instead of securing the family's future, it drains the wealth into the hands of those least capable of preserving it. The authors remind us of an old truth. Money given without discipline is like water poured into sand. It disappears quickly. As this chapter closes, we see a pattern forming. Wealth is not just about earning or saving, it's also about protecting family values. Parents who give too much or give unfairly often destroy both wealth and harmony. True millionaires know this and pass down not just money, but wisdom. And this naturally leads us into Chapter 7. If children are to become truly independent, what qualities must they develop? What makes one child grow into a self-sufficient adult, while another falls into dependency? The next chapter, Findings on the Economic Productivity of the Children of the Affluent, answers this question in depth. Chapter 7. Find Your Niche. Every wealthy person seems to have discovered one common truth. Real success is not about chasing every opportunity. It is about finding a niche, a unique space in the economy where your skills, discipline, and persistence can create value. The research done by Stanley and Danko revealed something powerful. Most millionaires were not in glamorous jobs or industries. They were not Hollywood actors, Wall Street traders, or Silicon Valley icons. Instead, they were small business owners, independent professionals, or specialists who built expertise in a narrow but stable area. For example, one millionaire ran a small chain of dry cleaning businesses. Another operated a pest control company. Yet another was a welding contractor. None of these jobs sound prestigious. But each one had something in common. They served consistent needs. They had low competition. And they rewarded discipline. By sticking to their niches, these people built long-term wealth. Why does a niche matter so much? Because in a broad field, you are just another face in the crowd. But in a niche, you become the go-to person. You stand out. Your customers trust you. You can control prices better. You build loyalty. And over time, this creates both financial security and financial growth. Millionaires also know that chasing every new idea or every new trend is a trap. Many people waste years jumping from one scheme to another, hoping for a quick win. But real wealth is rarely quick. It is usually the result of staying in one area long enough to master it, build trust, and enjoy the compounding rewards. The book highlights the difference between high-status professions and wealth-building professions. Many doctors, lawyers, or executives look rich, but are trapped by lifestyle expenses. They earn a lot, but they spend even more. On the other hand, a small-town builder or auctioneer may look ordinary, but could quietly accumulate millions. Why? Because they stay within their niche, live below their means, and let their money grow. Another critical lesson is that millionaires often love what they do. Their niche is not chosen randomly. It connects with their interests or values. That passion keeps them motivated through years of hard work. Passion alone is not enough, of course, but when combined with discipline and strategy, it becomes a powerful engine for wealth. The authors stress that finding your niche is not only about careers, It also applies to investing. Millionaires often avoid complicated schemes or get-rich-quick traps. Instead, they invest in areas they understand deeply. Maybe real estate, maybe a specific type of business, maybe simple stock market strategies. They know their lane, and they stay in it. One case study describes a man who built wealth through owning coin-operated laundromats. At first glance, it sounds unimpressive, but he understood his business thoroughly. He knew the neighborhoods, the customer needs, and the equipment. Over decades, his steady cash flow and reinvestments made him a multi-millionaire. Meanwhile, his neighbors, chasing flashy investments, often ended up with nothing. The authors make a clear point. If you want to build wealth, stop worrying about impressing others. Stop chasing what looks exciting. Instead, ask yourself, where can I create long-term value? Where can I become an expert? What niche will reward discipline, patience, and focus? The answer might surprise you. As this chapter closes, we see that wealth is not about luck or brilliance. It is about focus. Those who try to be everything to everyone often fail. Those who find their niche quietly win. And this insight leads perfectly into Chapter 8. Because once you understand the power of a niche, you also begin to notice something else. The difference between how millionaires work for their wealth and how heirs often waste it. That is the subject of the next chapter. Jobs, Millionaires versus Heirs. Chapter 8. Jobs, Millionaires versus Heirs. If there is one difference that clearly separates the self-made millionaire from the heir, it is attitude toward work. The self-made millionaire sees work as a mission. It is the tool that allows them to build wealth, to create independence, and to shape a legacy. Their jobs are not just about earning money. They are about creating value. That is why most millionaires in America are not lottery winners or celebrity stars. They are business owners, professionals, and entrepreneurs who built their fortune one decision at a time. Now let us look at heirs, those who inherit money. Research by Stanley and Danko shows a repeating pattern. Many heirs, when given wealth without responsibility, often fail to preserve it. Why? Because they never learn the discipline of earning, budgeting, and sacrificing. They treat money as a stream that never ends, not realizing how quickly it can dry up. In fact, studies reveal that wealth built by one generation often vanishes by the third. The first generation creates it. The second enjoys it. The third loses it. This is not because money disappears magically. It is because values are not passed down. Millionaires who earn their own wealth know the price of money. Heirs who receive it easily rarely understand that price. The authors tell us about millionaires who work long after they have enough. Why do they do this? Not because they need more money, but because work gives meaning, purpose, and discipline. They take pride in being productive. They often say, if I stopped working, I would stop living. On the other side, many heirs are raised in comfort. They may see wealth as normal, not as the result of sacrifice. Some become dependent on family support, expecting financial help whenever they stumble. Others choose careers that look prestigious but do not provide stability, assuming the family fortune will cover the gap. This is why many heirs live wealthy lifestyles without wealthy balance sheets. Their spending rises, their debt grows, and soon the inheritance is gone. Millionaires, however, think differently. They believe in choosing work that creates financial independence. They often encourage their children to pursue practical careers, not glamorous ones. A son or daughter may want to be an artist or actor, and parents may support the dream emotionally, but the advice of a true millionaire parent will usually include, make sure you have a stable source of income first. Another lesson is about self-respect. People who build wealth through their own jobs carry pride that cannot be bought. They know they created something from effort. They know they can face difficulties and recover. Heirs who depend on inherited money often lack this confidence. When challenges come, they crumble faster. The authors stress that the greatest gift a parent can give is not a fat bank account, but the values of discipline and independence. Teaching children to work, to budget, and to invest wisely is far more powerful than writing them a check. So, when we compare millionaires and heirs, the truth becomes clear. Jobs are not just about survival, they are about identity. Self-made millionaires build wealth and meaning through work. Heirs who rely only on inheritance often waste both money and potential. And that is why the millionaire next door is not a person of luck or privilege. He or she is a person of consistent work, discipline, and responsibility. The true millionaire's legacy is not just money, but the lessons of independence. As we reach the end of the Millionaire Next Door, one truth shines brighter than any other. Wealth is not about how much you earn, but how you live. The research of Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko destroyed the myths about millionaires. They are not the flashy celebrities on magazine covers. They are not always doctors, lawyers, or executives living in luxury homes. More often, they are ordinary people in ordinary neighborhoods. They are small business owners, teachers, engineers, farmers, contractors, people who quietly built wealth through simple but powerful habits. What are those habits? They live below their means. They avoid status symbols. They manage their time, energy, and money carefully. They reject the temptation to spend for appearances. They focus on long-term goals instead of short-term pleasures. The book also teaches us about family. Millionaires know that giving too much financial help weakens their children. True love is not constant rescue, but guiding them to become independent. They understand that favoritism in money destroys relationships and drains wealth. Instead, they create opportunities, teach responsibility, and pass down values along with money. Most importantly, millionaires find their niche. They focus on what they know, what they can master, and what will serve people consistently. They stick to their lane, build expertise, and grow wealth steadily. And when we compare millionaires to heirs, the lesson is crystal clear. Self-made millionaires gain confidence, purpose, and identity through their work. Heirs who rely only on inheritance often lose both money and meaning. The difference is not money itself, but the discipline and values that shape its use. So, what does all this mean for us? It means that anyone, anywhere, can follow these principles. You do not need a lottery ticket or a glamorous job. You need patience, discipline, and the courage to live differently from the crowd. If you choose frugality over flash, focus over distraction, and responsibility over dependence, you too can become the millionaire next door. The real wealth is not just in money. It is in the freedom, security, and peace of mind that comes from living wisely. And that, more than anything else, is the millionaire's true secret.